Okay, picture this. I want you to transport yourself back in time a little bit. It's roughly 2014. We are in Mumbai,
Hmm.
specifically the upscale, buzzing suburb of Bandra West. And if you know Mumbai, you know exactly what the sensory experience is like. It is humid.
Oh, yeah. That sticky heat.
The kind of sticky heat that clings to your shirt the second you step outside. It's noisy. The traffic is this relentless, chaotic drone in the background.
Yeah.
Honking horns, auto rickshaws, the works.
It's the sound of a city that never stops, that's always hustling.
Exactly.
Oh.
And in the middle of this chaos, but elevated above it in a high-rise apartment, sits Chetan Bhagat. Now, we need to set the stage on who he is at this moment. He's arguably India's most famous pop culture author.
Right. He's the guy who basically invented the modern Indian English bestseller.
He really is. We're talking 5 Point Someone, 2 states, the book that became the movie 3 Idiots. He's on the Time 100 list. I mean, by all conventional metrics, this man has arrived.
He is standing at the absolute peak of the mountain, looking down at the rest of the world. He has the wealth, the fame, the influence.
Right. But on this specific afternoon, he isn't the literary giant or a cultural icon. He is just a guy who is incredibly angrily hungry.
Angry.
The hangriest. He has ordered Rajma rice, classic comfort food from Zomato, and it is late, like 30 minutes late. He is staring at his phone, watching that little bike icon on the map that just refuses to move. The anger is setting in hard.
We have all been there, staring at that little icon.
You have. He's thinking about how technology is supposed to make life easier, but here he is, starving in his air-conditioned tower, a victim of the very system he benefits from.
It's the universal modern experience, isn't it? The frustration of the service economy failing you when you need it most.
Finally, the doorbell rings. Chetan storms over, ready to give this delivery guy a piece of his mind. He's rehearsing the scolding in his head. He yanks the door open, ready to just let him have it.
Yeah.
And the anger just evaporates. It vanishes instantly.
Because of what he sees standing there.
Exactly. Standing there is this guy. Let's call him Viraj Shukla.
Mm-hmm.
And the visual is just, it's heartbreaking. He's in his late 20s, maybe 29. He's visibly overweight, gasping for breath like he's just run a marathon.
Oh, wow.
He's wearing that bright red Zomato t-shirt, and it is way too tight. It's dicking into his waist, clearly a size or two too small. He's drenched in sweat. And most shockingly, the guy is crying.
Crying, like actually weeping.
Openly weeping, tears streaming down his face. And at first, Chetan is completely thrown. He thinks, is he crying because he's late? Is he terrified? I'm going to give him 1-star rating and get him fired.
That would be the logical assumption, right? Given the power dynamic there.
It's the only thing that makes sense. So Viraj tries to lie at first. He mumbles something about a bike puncture. But Chetan, being the observant writer he is, knows it's a lie because he was tracking the GPS. The bike wasn't moving.
Caught by the tech.
Caught by the tech. But instead of just taking the food and shutting the door, Chetan does something interesting. He invites him in. He gives him a glass of water. He asks, what is really going on?
And this is where the entire premise of our deep dive today begins. It's not just a food delivery. It's a collision of two completely different worlds. You have the celebrity author in his tower and the struggling gig worker on the street.
And turns out the delay wasn't a flat tire. It was a phone call. Viraj had been parked on the side of the road, sobbing into his phone, begging his ex-girlfriend, Arpita, to take him back.
Wow. That is such a raw human moment. Despite the massive class divide, the bridge between them is this universal feeling of heartbreak and desperation. I mean, we've all been there, maybe not on a delivery bike in the Mumbai heat, but we know that feeling.
We do. And as Viraj opens up, we see the full picture of his defeat. He tells Chetan, my life is over. She left me for a guy with a secure bank job and a BMW. I'm a delivery boy. I'm fat. I have a master's degree in history that is useless. I have no future. He literally says, sir, if I die tomorrow in a bike accident, it will be a relief.
That is heavy. That is the voice of someone who has completely given up. It represents what the book calls class 3. It's the voice of someone who feels the game is rigged against them, the cards are marked, and they have absolutely no moves left to play.
Exactly. He is passive. He's just waiting for the end. But Chetan, being Chetan, doesn't just offer sympathy or a big tip. He makes a deal, a pact.
Okay.
He says, you bring me lunch every day. I will pay you, of course, but in exchange for the delivery, I will teach you one secret rule of life per day. We will fix this. And that, my friend, is the structure of the book we are unpacking today. 11 Rules for Life by Chetan Bhagat.
I love this framing. It transforms what could be a dry list of self-help tips into a mentorship narrative. It grounds high-level advice in the gritty reality of a delivery guy's struggle.
It makes it real.
It's not just here's how to be successful. It's here is how to survive and climb out of a hole when the world is kicking you in the teeth.
So before we even get to the specific rules, we have to talk about the context. Chetan starts with this pre-rules warm-up, where he completely shatters the illusion of fairness. He basically tells Viraj, everything you were taught in school, everything your parents told you about how the world works is a lie.
This is the Exhibit I versus Exhibit 2 concept, and it is so fundamental to the whole book. He argues that we are raised with the flat-top view of the world.
Reflect-top view.
Yeah, we are taught that everyone is equal, society is fair, people are generally good, and this is the big one. If you work hard, you get rewarded. It's a nice, flat playing field where merit wins.
Which sounds great on a moral science exam or, in a primary school classroom. But Chetan says believing this in the real world is absolute nonsense.
Precisely. He says it's dangerous nonsense because if you believe the playing field is flat and you fail, you assume something is wrong with you. You internalize that failure.
I must be stupid or I must be lazy.
Right. You blame yourself, not the game. So Chetan replaces that flat view with Exhibit 2, the 3D mountain.
Let's break down this mountain. It's like a pyramid or maybe a wedding cake. He breaks society down into 3 distinct classes, and this analysis is brutal but necessary to understand Viraj's position.
At the very top, you have Class 1, the elite. This is the top 1%. We're talking about maybe 80 million people globally who control almost everything.
These are your billionaires, your tycoons, the people who make the decisions that move the world, the people who own the assets, who own the companies.
Exactly. And Chetan makes a nuanced point here. He says these people aren't necessarily evil conspirators sitting in a dark room stroking a cat.
Right, it's not a James Bond movie.
It's not. They are just acting in their own self-interest. But because they have so much accumulated power and capital, their self-interest shapes reality for everyone else. They want to stay at the top, and they have the means to ensure they do. It's a system that perpetuates itself.
Then you have Class 2, the protectors.
This is the interesting layer. It's about 9% of the population. These are your white-collar professionals, your doctors, lawyers, senior managers, VPs.
The people who have made it, but aren't at the very top.
Exactly. They live comfortable lives, they have nice houses, they take vacations, they drive good cars, but their function in the system is to serve the elite. They run the corporations, they manage the hospitals, they handle the legal battles, they are the buffer.
And crucially, their job is also to manage the class below them.
Yes, they are the gatekeepers. Their role is to keep the elite comfortable and to prevent too many people from jumping up from the class below.
Which brings us to Class 3, the drones, the workers.
The 90%. This is Viraj. Delivery boys, clerks, laborers, gig workers, the people who keep the machine running. They deliver the food, clean the floors, file the paperwork.
One's doing the actual grunt work.
They have almost no power, no assets, and are kept in place by debt and subsistence wages. And Chetan's main argument is that there are iron gates between these classes.
Iron gates. That is such a vivid image. It's not just a glass ceiling. It's a locked, heavy gate.
Exactly. You aren't supposed to jump from Class 3 to Class 2. The system is designed to keep you where you are. I mean, think about it. If everyone moved up, who would deliver the sandwiches? So the gates are locked tight.
And he lists the specific locks on these gates, doesn't he? It's not some abstract idea.
He does. He lists things like English skills, which we'll get into, entrance exams, which are designed to filter people out, networking, who you know, and even body language. If you act like Class 3, the gatekeepers of Class 2 won't let you in. They can smell it on you.
So the mission of this deep dive, and the mission Chetan gives Viraj is, how do we smash these iron gates? How do we, to use the Indian term he emphasizes, cross your aukat?
Aukat is such a heavy word in India. It loosely translates to status or level, but it usually has a negative connotation like know your place or stay within your aukat.
It's a word used to put people down. It's a word of social control.
Yes, so to cross your aukat is to defy the social gravity that wants to pull you down. It's an act of rebellious upward mobility. So let's unpack how he proposes we do that.
Let's jump into rule #1. And honestly, for a book about success and money and career, I was surprised this was the first one. Rule #1 is never ignore your fitness.
It seems almost too simple, doesn't it? You expect something like work harder or save money or learn to code, but putting fitness first is a profound statement on priorities. He quotes JFK. Physical fitness is the basis of creative intellectual activity.
But Chetan isn't just talking about getting a six-pack so you look good on Instagram, right? There's more to it.
No, not at all. Though he does admit aesthetics matter because, sadly, people judge you by how you look. But he breaks it down into three pillars: aesthetics, physical strength, and the most important one, mental strength. The mental strength aspect is the most critical for someone like Viraj.
He calls working out net practice for life. I love that analogy. Can you unpack that for us?
Think about it. When you are on a treadmill or you're doing a set of heavy squats, your legs are shaking, your lungs are burning, your brain is screaming at you, stop, this hurts, put the bar down, just walk.
That voice is loud. I hear it every time I run. It's so easy to listen to it.
That voice is what he calls the loser voice. That is the voice that seeks comfort. That is the voice that wants to quit. Every single time you force yourself to finish the set despite that voice, you are training your will. You are silencing the loser voice.
You're building a muscle.
You are proving to yourself that you can endure discomfort to achieve a goal, and that's transferable.
Right. So it's not about the squat itself.
No, it's about the discipline. If you can't control your urge to stop running, how are you going to control your urge to procrastinate on a difficult project? If you can't control your urge to eat a samosa, how will you control your urge to give up when your business has a rough patch? Fitness is where you build the discipline muscle that you then use everywhere else in your life.
This is where the story with Viraj gets really real. Because Viraj pushes back immediately. He gives all the classic excuses. He says, "Sir, I'm a delivery boy. I don't have time. I work all day. And healthy food is expensive. I can't afford avocado toast and protein shakes."
And this is where Chetan goes full detective on him. He destroys these excuses. This is the tough love moment. He asks to see Viraj's phone. He opens the settings and checks his screen time.
This part made me check my own screen time, honestly. It was a wake-up call. Because Viraj had 10 hours of daily screen time.
10 hours. Now, Chetan is fair. He notes that about 5 hours is on the Zomato partner app. That's work. He can't cut that.
Yeah.
But the other 5 hours?
3 hours on Instagram and 1 hour on, well, let's just say adult content sites, Pornhub.
Right. And the Pornhub detail is significant, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the dopamine rule. But the Instagram stat is the smoking gun. Chetan basically looks at him and says, you have 3 hours to watch other people live their lives, but you don't have 45 minutes to go for a run.
Oof.
You can afford data plans to stream videos, but you can't afford eggs and cucumbers. It's a brutal reality check.
It's not a resource problem. It's a priority problem.
Precisely. And for you, the listener, this is the takeaway. Fitness isn't a luxury for the rich. It's a necessity for the ambitious. If you are poor, you actually need fitness more because your body is your only real asset. You can't afford to get sick.
So what's the actionable advice here? How does he break it down?
Chetan simplifies it. Sleep. 7-8 hours. It's non-negotiable. It's when your brain and body recover. Diet. You are what you eat. He challenges Viraj to give up sweets for just 11 days. And Viraj struggles because sugar is his comfort, his dopamine hit. And exercise. A mix of cardio and weights. Compound lifts like squats and deadlifts if you can. And if you can't afford a gym, run. The street is free.
The message is clear. Stop making excuses. If you don't respect your body, the world won't respect you, and you won't have the stamina to climb that mountain.
Exactly. You cannot fight a war with a broken tank. Your body is your tank.
Okay, so once we get the body moving, we have to deal with the mind. Rule, #2 is, master your emotions.
The catchphrase here is absolutely brilliant. Screw your own feelings, but read others.
That sounds a bit sociopathic at first glance. Screw your own feelings. It goes against so much of the modern advice of honor your feelings, feel your feelings.
It does, but let's look at the context of climbing out of class 3. Chetan breaks down brain types into rationally dominant and emotionally dominant, or what he calls MDOMs.
MDOMs. I feel like I know a few of those. Might be one on a bad day.
Most people are MDOMs. We are wired that way. MDOMs do things only when they feel like it. I don't feel like working today. I feel sad, so I'm going to eat this entire tub of ice cream. I feel angry, so I'm going to send this rage-fueled email.
And in Viraj's case,
Viraj calls his ex-girlfriend 40 times in a row because he feels desperate. His rational brain, if he engaged it for a second, would tell him, calling her 40 times makes you look like a stalker and pushes her further away. This is not a winning strategy, but he is being driven entirely by the emotion of the moment.
he literally describes Viraj as being in the 100% emotional zone, the danger zone where logic has completely left the building.
Right. The loser voice we talked about in Rule 1, that is almost always an emotional voice. It seeks comfort, safety, and immediate validation. The rational brain is the one that says, I know I'm tired, but I need to study for this exam because it's important for my future. Success requires subordinating the emotional whim to the rational plan.
But he also talks about neuroplasticity here, this idea that we aren't stuck this way. It's not a fixed state.
Yes, and this is the hopeful part. You can rewire your brain. Every time you force yourself to do the hard, rational thing like not calling the ex when you want to or not eating the junk food when you're stressed, you are physically strengthening the rational pathways in your brain. You are building a superhighway for logic and letting the dirt road of emotion grow over with weeds.
So it's about training the brain, just like we train the body in Rule 1. It's practice.
Exactly. You are physically changing your brain structure to become rationally dominant. It's not magic, it's work.
But the second half of the rule, read others, is interesting. If we are screwing our own feelings, why do we care so much about others?
Because you live in a society, you need to suppress your own emotional outbursts. But you need to be hyper aware of what others are feeling so you can navigate the social hierarchy. If your boss is angry, you need to read that emotion to survive. If you want to sell something, you need to read the customer's emotions. It's about internal stoicism and external empathy.
Got it. Control yourself, observe the world. This flows right into rule #3, which is also going to sound controversial to a lot of people. Rule #3 is put yourself first.
If you don't put yourself first, who will? This is the antidote to what he calls the people pleaser trap.
Chetan shares a personal story here about how he spent his childhood learning jokes just so people would like him. He was desperate for validation.
And that desperation makes you a puppet. When you live for others' validation, you stop living your own life. He uses the example of a Friday night dinner. Imagine you've had a long, exhausting week. You're drained. You want soup, a blanket, and to be in bed by 9 p.m. But your family or friends want to go to a loud, crowded restaurant.
And usually we say yes. We sit there, miserable, hating the noise, just to keep the peace, to not rock the boat.
Exactly. In that moment, you have just let someone else write the script for your evening. And if you do that for your evening, you'll do it for your career. You'll become a doctor because your parents want you to. You'll marry someone your society approves of. You wake up at 40 and realize you've lived a life designed by everyone else.
We see this with Firaj immediately in the narrative. He shows up one day and brings Chetan free ice cream. It's a nice gesture, right? A gift.
It looks nice on the surface, but Chetan points out two things. One, Viraj is violating Rule 1 because he's eating the ice cream too, sabotaging his own fitness. But two, and this is more important, he's trying to buy Chetan's affection. He is prioritizing being the nice guy over being the disciplined guy.
It's a subtle form of bribery or submission, a people-pleasing move.
It is. He is seeking validation from a superior instead of focusing on his own progress. The real breakthrough happens later when Viraj reveals he finally deleted Arpita's number from his phone.
That's a huge moment. That's him actually taking action for himself.
It is. That is him finally putting his own sanity and mental peace above the emotional addiction to the relationship. He chose himself over his feelings. That is the prerequisite for success. You have to be the protagonist of your own story.
It's about setting boundaries. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Correct. And in the context of the class system, Class 3 people are conditioned to serve. They are conditioned to put Class 1 and 2 first. Breaking that conditioning is an act of rebellion. You have to be selfish with your time and energy if you want to escape.
Now, speaking of barriers, let's talk about the big one. The one that's so specific to the Indian context but has parallels everywhere. Rule #4. Master simple English.
This is the specific iron gate for India, but honestly, it applies to anyone trying to enter the global economy. English is the language of business.
It's unbelievable how much weight this one language carries. Chetan classifies people into E0, E1, and E2. Let's break those down.
Sure, E0 is no English. If you are E0 in India, your career ceiling is very, very low. You are restricted to blue-collar, work driver, guard, laborer. You simply cannot enter the corporate world. E2 is the other end of the spectrum, the sophisticated club, native-level fluency. These people think in English, they dream in English, they probably watch Hollywood movies growing up. These are the people who run the corporations, the Class 2 gatekeepers.
And then there's the middle ground where most people get stuck, E1.
The translated head phenomenon. This is where most aspiring people, including Viraj, are trapped. They know the grammar, they can read it, but when they speak, they are thinking in their native language, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, and then they're translating it in their head in real time before speaking.
Which creates that lag. That
Yeah.
hesitation, that slight awkwardness.
Exactly. It makes them sound unsure. It makes them sound less confident. And in an interview, confidence is everything. That translated head signals to the gatekeeper that you are not quite one of us.
Viraj is stuck here. And he admits something heartbreaking. He says, my friends will laugh at me if I try to speak English. They'll call me a wannabe Englishman.
That shame is the barrier. It's the crab bucket mentality. Your peers in class 3 want you to stay in class 3. If you try to improve, they mock you to pull you back down to their level.
So what's the advice? How do you break through the shame and the translation lag? It seems impossible.
Chetan's advice is super pragmatic. You don't need to be Shakespeare. You don't need to sound like you went to Oxford. You just need to be a high-level E1, clear, confident, functional. And the method is immersion.
He says, think in English. Narrate your day to yourself.
Yes, internally. I am walking to the door. The bus is late. I am feeling hungry. By forcing your internal monologue into English, you bypass the translation circuit. You start building the direct pathway. And regarding the friends, he tells Viraj to use rule #2. Master your emotions, let them laugh. Their laughter doesn't pay your bills. English is the currency of the global economy. Ignoring it is like trying to buy something with monopoly money.
That is a great way to put it.
Oh.
Okay, let's get to the rule that hits home for, well, probably everyone listening right now. Rule #5, no cheap dopamine.
The pleasure of the moment is the poison of the future. This is where we get into the neurochemistry of success, and it is so important in the modern world.
We have to talk about the soulless pizza.
Oh, the soulless pizza. Viraj brings Chetan a healthy pizza. It's a thin crust, no cheese, basically a cracker with tomato sauce and some vegetables.
It sounds tragic. I feel bad for him.
It does, but it's a metaphor. It represents food without the massive unearned dopamine hit of cheese and grease.
So explain the difference for us. Cheap dopamine versus earned dopamine. Why does it matter so much?
Dopamine is the molecule of motivation. It's the brain's do-it-again chemical. Cheap dopamine is high reward for zero effort. Junk food, scrolling reels, or TikTok, alcohol, porn. You get a massive spike of pleasure without doing any work for it.
And the problem isn't the spike itself, it's the crash that comes after.
Right. Exactly. When you flood the brain with cheap dopamine, the brain says, whoa, that's too much, and it fights back to maintain balance. It downregulates your receptors, it lowers your baseline dopamine levels, so when the high wears off, you don't just go back to normal, you go below normal. You feel bored, anxious, unmotivated.
Chetan calls this the fucked up life cycle.
You feel bad, so you seek more cheap dopamine just to feel normal again. It's the cycle of addiction. Earned dopamine, on the other hand, comes after effort. The feeling you get after a 5K run. The satisfaction of finishing a difficult report. This doesn't crash your baseline. It builds resilience. It actually raises your baseline over time.
The conversation about porn here is surprisingly open and direct. Viraj admits he and his friends use it constantly. He says they use it to manage desire because they are lonely, broke, and can't get girlfriends.
It's acting as a pacifier. This is a crucial societal observation. Chetan points out that cheap dopamine leaves them demotivated. If you can satisfy the powerful biological urge for connection and intimacy artificially with zero effort, you lose the drive to go out into the real world and make yourself a worthy partner.
It keeps you docile. It keeps you in class 3.
Precisely. If you are sedated by cheap thrills, you won't fight the iron gates. Why bother?
So the solution he proposes is a dopamine detox.
Yes. You have to reset the system, cut the source, 30 days, no junk food, no porn, severely limit social media. It's painful. Viraj really struggles with it, but it's the only way to get your drive back. It forces you to find joy in boring things again, like reading a book or working on a spreadsheet.
Which is absolutely necessary if you're going to follow rule #6, chase the hard things.
This is the story of Bobby. Bobby was a guy who loved the soft life. He loved good whiskey, rich foods, soft sofas. He avoided everything hard. He took the easy route every single time.
And he ended up sick, failing, and miserable. A cautionary tale.
Because the great paradox of life is this. Do what is easy, and your life will become hard. Do what is hard, and your life will become easy.
Life is uphill. That's the mantra he gives Viraj.
That's the mantra. Gravity wants to pull you down into mediocrity and decay. You have to climb every day just to stay in place, and you have to climb hard to move up. Chetan tells Viraj to attack the hard thing first thing in the morning.
The old advice to eat the frog.
Yes. Viraj starts waking up at 5 a.m. to run. Waking up early is hard. Running is hard. But by 7 a.m., he has already conquered something difficult. That sets the tone for the entire day. He stops seeking the soft life because he realizes it's a trap that leads to a much harder life later on.
But sometimes the hard thing is just too big. It's overwhelming. That's where rule #7 comes in, and I think this is so practical. Eat the elephant.
I love this metaphor. Viraj reveals a massive regret to Chetan. He had a chance to take a railway entrance exam, a ticket to a secure government job, which is a huge deal in his world, a way out, but he didn't even apply.
Why not? Was he lazy? Did he not want it?
No, he was intimidated. He saw the syllabus, this massive stack of books, and he just froze. It was an elephant. He couldn't figure out how to swallow it, so he walked away in defeat before even starting.
Humans are terrible at long-term visualization. We see the whole mountain and we get dizzy. We can't imagine taking the first step.
So the rule is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You have to make cuts. You take the massive, scary goal and you slice it into tiny, manageable pieces. You break the syllabus down into chapters, break the chapters into pages, break the pages into paragraphs.
Chetan talks about writing his books this way. He doesn't think about the whole novel.
He doesn't sit down to write a best-selling novel. That's too big, too scary. He sits down to write one page. If you write one page a day, you have a 365-page book in a year. Viraj failed because he was staring at the whole elephant instead of just looking at the fork in his hand and the piece on his plate.
It's about shrinking the horizon. Focus on today's bite. Win today, forget the rest.
Exactly. Long-term success is just a pile of short-term efforts stacked on top of each other. It's not one giant leap.
Rule #8 is my personal favorite because of the imagery. It's so visceral. Be the cockroach.
It is disgusting, but it is absolutely brilliant.
Nobody wants to be a cockroach. We want to be lions, tigers, eagles, these majestic creatures.
But Chetan says, no, be the roach, because the lion is rigid. The lion needs a specific environment to survive. When the jungle changes, the lion dies. The dinosaur, the apex predator, died. The cockroach. It survived the asteroid. It survives everything.
Because it's all about adaptability.
Darwin never said survival of the strongest. He said survival of the fittest, meaning the one who fits the environment best, the one who can change.
Chetan uses his own career as a perfect example. He was a banker. Then he adapted and became an author. Then a screenwriter. Now he's a YouTuber and a speaker. He keeps changing.
He didn't stay stuck in 2005. Look at Nokia. Look at BlackBerry. They were the lions of the mobile world. They were too proud, too rigid. They refused to adapt to the touchscreen era. They thought they were too strong to fail. And they died. They're extinct. Viraj realizes he is in a dead-end job. Delivery is a young man's game, and eventually, drones or robots will replace him. He has to adapt.
He has to survive the nuclear winter of his life and come out the other side.
And that requires shedding your ego. I'm a history master. I shouldn't be doing this job. The cockroach doesn't have an ego. It just survives. It hides when it needs to, it runs when it needs to, and it eats whatever is available to stay alive.
Which leads perfectly into rule #9, which is often seen as a dirty word. Learn to connect with people.
Networking. Now this is where the class divide feels widest. Viraj pushes back hard here. He says, I deliver food. Rich people don't see me. I'm invisible. How am I supposed to network with a CEO?
It's a very fair point. You can't just walk up to a billionaire and say, hey, let's grab coffee.
But Chetan flips the script. He says, don't aim for the CEO yet. Aim for the gatekeepers. Aim for the people just 1 or 2 levels above you.
The Chol story is a legendary example Chetan gives from his own life. He saved his banking career by inviting a senior partner home for chickpeas. A simple human connection.
But for Viraj, the strategy is even more brilliant because it's so scrappy. It's cockroach-level networking. Viraj knows a bakery that gives away leftover pastries at the end of the day. So he takes those free cookies and gives them to the staff at the recruitment agency, the very agency that got him the delivery job.
That is such a smart move. He's not asking for anything. He's just building a relationship.
He's treating the recruitment staff like human beings, not just functionaries. He's building social capital with the only resource he has, his time and some free cookies. And guess what? Those recruitment agents see the job postings first. By feeding them cookies and being the nice delivery guy who smiles, he ensures that when a good job comes in, his file is on top of the pile.
It's cockroach thinking combined with connection. It's using what you have to get what you need.
Networking isn't about collecting business cards at a gala. It's about adding value to people so they remember you, even if that value is just a free cookie and a genuine smile.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the rules, and this might be the hardest one to swallow emotionally. Rule #10, it's my fault.
Extreme accountability. It's the Jocko Willink school of thought. Total ownership.
Chetan calls it the brutal truth augmented reality mirror.
Imagine looking in a mirror that doesn't just show your face, but it labels you with the unvarnished truth. Fat, broke, lazy, insecure, addicted to porn.
Ouch. That's a mirror most of us spend our entire lives trying to fog up. We don't want to see that.
We do. We have what he calls an EJL, an excuses and justifications list. I'm not fat, I'm big bone, I'm not poor, the economy is bad, my boss hates me, the system is rigged.
Viraj tries to fight this. He brings up the bus argument. What if I get hit by a bus? Is that my fault?
This is the exception trap. We find the 0.1% possibility of random bad luck like getting cancer or getting hit by a bus to justify our inaction in the 99.9% of the time that we are just being lazy or making bad choices.
That's a way to maintain the victim narrative.
Exactly. And Chetan pins him down. He asks, did you get hit by a bus? Viraj says no. Chetan asks, so why are you broke?
And Viraj finally admits it. He breaks down and says, because I didn't study, because I chased a girl instead of a career, because I wasted time.
That admission is the turning point of the entire story. As long as you blame Kismet, fate, or the system, you are a victim. And victims cannot change their lives. Only owners can. The moment you say, it's my fault, you also gain the power to fix it.
He introduces the power of the word yet. It's so simple, but so effective.
I don't have money yet. I'm not fit yet. It acknowledges the current reality without condemning the future to be the same. It shifts the entire narrative from a permanent state of victimhood to a temporary state of being a work in progress.
Finally, we hit rule #11, which is briefly touched upon, but is really the endgame of all the others. Earn, save, and invest.
You can't invest if you don't earn. You can't save if you don't earn. So the focus comes back to increasing your value in the marketplace. You have to follow the other 10 rules, get fit, learn English, network, adapt to make Rule 11 even possible. It's the result of everything else.
And this is where the mentorship part of the story ends. Viraj brings his final meal to Chetan, a soulless burger.
A chickpea patty, no mayo, on a multi-grain bun, the ultimate symbol of his new life.
He's eating healthy, he's taking accountability, he's fit, and he tells Chetan, I'm quitting.
He says, I'm not coming back until I've crossed my Akat. It's the hero setting off on his journey. He refuses to be the delivery boy anymore. He's going off the map.
So flash forward 5 years, the outro. We are at a posh cafe in Gurgaon called Level Up.
The name is just perfect, isn't it?
It's perfect. And there's Viraj. He's wearing a sharp suit. He's fit. He's glowing with confidence. He is not the fat, crying delivery boy anymore. The transformation is complete.
And he outlines the journey. He quit Zomato. He used the hard path. He went and studied hotel management, eating that elephant one exam at a time. He got a job at the Taj Hotel, networking. He met a wealthy client there using his connection skills. And he partnered with that client to open this very cafe. He put all the rules together.
The final image is so powerful. Viraj is inside his air-conditioned cafe, and he sees delivery boys outside in the heat. He goes out and shakes their hands. He remembers where he came from, but he's no longer of that world.
He climbed the mountain. He smashed the iron gates. He crossed his Okat.
So what does this all mean for us, for the listener who's maybe feeling a bit like Viraj did at the beginning?
It means the flat world is a comforting lie that keeps you stuck. The world is a mountain. It is unfair. The game is rigged. But it is climbable.
If you follow the rules,
Yeah.
if you're willing to do the work.
If you stop being a victim. If you prioritize your body and mind. If you adapt like the cockroach. If you do the hard things first. Chetan's message isn't that success is guaranteed. It's that success is possible if you are willing to endure the pain of discipline rather than the much greater pain of regret.
Choose your heart.
Exactly. A life of discipline is hard. A life of mediocrity and regret is also hard. You have to choose which one you want.
Well, that was
Yeah.
intense. I feel like I need to go for a run now. Or maybe just delete Instagram off my phone for a week.
Start with a run. Eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Thank you for guiding us through this. This has been a deep dive into 11 rules for life. To our listeners, the iron gates are there, but you have the keys now. Go use them. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.
Keep climbing.